on a street corner in California obviously didn't need the money, according to this witness. Witness Sharon Smith told ABC News Channel 15 in California that she noticed that this young pregnant woman would constantly come to the certain corner and beg for money. But then she saw the woman being picked up in a brand new Mercedes. And the woman and the man who was driving the Mercedes were laughing over their money. She said she noticed that the woman always sits in the same place with a big sign that says, "Please help me." She told ABC News 15 that when she took out her cell phone and began to take pictures of the woman as she got into the Mercedes, the lady became very angry with her and began to throw rocks at her. She said, "I was also able to write down the license plate number of the Mercedes Benz." She turned that number into the news station. They followed up on the plate and found that the begging pregnant woman lived in an upscale housing development. When the news cameras arrived at the housing development to interview the woman to ask, "Why are you begging when you obviously don't need the money?" they found no one at home. The neighbors said they moved very quickly. You may agree with me that there have been times when you have walked by people on the streets, even of Mount Vernon or New York City, and you wondered as they were out there begging and asking for money with their signs, you wondered if you should help them or not. so. Notice in this text today that the righteous ones on the right hand of God were surprised by Jesus' portrayal of them helping and feeding and clothing and taking care of Jesus. They said, Lord, when did we see you hungry or thirsty? Lord, I never see you naked or in prison or sick. When did we see you in this desperate state of need? We're surprised that you said that we took care of you. We never saw you in that state. Jesus said, as much as you have taken care of those in your community, in your church family, that are hungry or thirsty or naked or a stranger, you actually were taking care of me. It appeared that these ones on the right, the sheep on the right, it appeared that their giving and their care was a natural outflow. It was a natural expression of their gratitude and service to God. They had no idea that they were helping Jesus instead. And isn't that the way it's supposed to be? That when we love God out of our natural expression of our love and gratitude to God, we just give. It's not pre-planned. It's not something that we have to force or make up. It just flows from us, like you're bringing your gifts this morning. It's what we do. It's who we are. Then, likewise, those goats on the left, they were also surprised by Jesus' words. For I was hungry and you gave me no food. I was thirsty and you gave me nothing to drink. I was a stranger and you never welcomed me in. I was naked and you did not provide me with clothing, and I was sick and I was in prison and you never came to see about me. And the goats were just as surprised as the sheep. Lord, when did we ever see you in such desperate state of need? If we'd seen you like that, Lord, something we would have done differently. We would have taken care of you. Had we known it was you, Lord, we would have acted differently. Jesus said, inasmuch as you did not do it unto the least of these members of my family, you did not do it to me. God hides himself in the poor, in the hungry, in the naked, in those in prison, and in the sick. God hides himself in the strangers that walk into our congregation. And when we take care of the least of these, we are actually taking care of Jesus himself. Jesus makes it a point to tell us that the final test is not just about doing good deeds. The final test is about being the good person. The person who loves others because we love Jesus first. I laughed when I read the story of the Michigan policeman who was hailed a hero because he pulled over a woman responding to a call that there was a woman driving with a child jumping around in the car. And when he spotted the car, he pulled the car over. And sure enough, here was a 5-year-old boy bouncing around in the back seat, not in a booster seat, not constrained in a car seat. And he, by law, was supposed to give the woman a ticket because the child is supposed to be restrained. But this Michigan policeman officer, Emmett, he took the woman to a local Walmart, purchased the car seat for her, put the car seat in the car, fastened the little type in the car seat, and told her to be on her way. The bottom line is and God can do it on the side of you. Christ lives in each one of us. And as much as we do it unto those, our brothers and sisters and members of this family, we do it for Christ. I close with this story of a poor man who had broken his leg, a poor farmer who had broken his leg. And he was unable to work the family farm. And he was the wage earner for the family. As expected, his family fell into desperate need because there was no money coming in. He could not work the fields. He could not bring in the income. So a member of his church family decided to call a prayer meeting in order to pray for the family. Called a prayer meeting, and a large number of people showed up for the prayer meeting. And they prayed, and they prayed, and they asked God to help provide food for this farmer family. Then suddenly, there was a knock at the church door. When the door opened, there stood a young boy, a young farmer boy from down the road. And he said to those in the prayer meeting, "My papa could not make the prayer meeting tonight. He couldn't come. So he sent his prayers in a wagon." Curiously, all of the members of the prayer band jumped up and went out to look outside, and they saw a wagon. And it was loaded with potatoes, meat, apples, pumpkins, grain, bread, and many other products from the farmer's farm. He put his prayers in a wagon. His prayers became tangible. His prayers became food and meat and grain to feed the family. Saints, it's all right to pray that God will move us. But we've got to go beyond just praying. We've got to put our prayers into action. Give our prayers hands and feet and heart. Just as you have done today. These are our prayers for our community at Sacred Heart. That we might be, as Jesus said, that we might do it unto the least of these, that we might do it unto Him. Well, Sharon Smith completes the article that she wrote for the California newspaper saying that whenever I see mothers begging with their children, it bothers me so much. Children should be all playing, living life as a child, not involved in this. Sure, maybe some of those mothers are genuinely poor and can't afford a babysitter or have no relatives or friends who can watch their children. But it doesn't sound like in this situation. I hope this woman is tracked down, and I hope she's interviewed. I want to hear what her real story is. Is she really destitute? Does she really have no choice but to beg and take her child along with her? Unfortunately, it is stories like this that make you think twice about giving to people who beg. Do you think she really needs the money? Do you think she's really in need? Jesus said it is not ours to figure out if they really need the money. Ours is to give in a heart of compassion as a grateful response to Jesus' giving to us, and leave the rest up to God. Amen.